Nearly 1 out of every 3 death certificates are inaccurate. Hi, I'm Darren Findling of the Probate Pro, and this statistic issued by Bob Anderson, Chief of Mortality Statistics at the National Center of Health Statistics, really sent shockwaves because the document itself, the death certificate, is used in so many facets. In fact, in some states, it's believed that 1 out of every 2, almost 50%, of all death certificates contain some inaccurate information. So why are we concerned about this inaccurate information? Well, besides it being a critical document that's reporting important information for that individual's life, it also provides guidance on particular trends that are happening within the state or nationally. And even more important, and the reason that I'm doing a video on this particular subject, is the death certificate is a critical document that is used in probate and trust matters. And it's really used beyond probate and trust matters to assist families after an individual has died to gain access to financial information and other important information that they're entitled to. So let's take a deeper look. Let's examine the interplay between probate and the death certificate. And there's no better place to start than by examining the death certificate itself. So the Michigan death certificate, the sample that you're looking at, is something that maybe you're familiar with, maybe you're not, but it has a lot of important data. Some of the data was included to keep track of national trends. For example, auto accidents, death by tobacco, as well as other statistical information, including the age of the individual, whether somebody is pregnant. These allow the states to report nationally for particular trends that are going on. Now, understand that this death certificate is used for many, many purposes. Obviously, it is the identification with the Department of Community Health at the state of Michigan that an individual has died. So when the coroner or medical examiner completes this, it is the official record. But that same death certificate is used for various purposes when somebody has died. For example, when there is a life insurance benefit and there's a named beneficiary, you're going to need generally a certified or sealed certified copy of the certificate of death to be able to prove that the person died, so that the insurance company would then be able to distribute to the beneficiary or beneficiaries. The same holds true with a joint ownership when an asset, like a bank account, is owned by 2 people. You take that death certificate to the financial institution to remove the deceased individual's name from the bank account. And of course, with real estate, if there is an ownership like by husband and wife, the recording of that death certificate is evidence in the chain of title that that person has died. So the certificate of death is used in many purposes. So having accurate, correct information within that document can be really important. We see this come up when an individual is presenting the death certificate to a financial institution, and for example, it indicates that their marital status is single when in fact they were married when they owned an asset as husband and wife. So that inaccuracy can cause all sorts of problems. In addition, one of the most important aspects of the certificate of death relates to the area on that document called cause of death. And this cause of death can cause all sorts of problems if it's not completed right. Now, obviously, we know that when somebody dies, the individual's heart stops beating. So when a death certificate simply reports cardiac arrest, it doesn't always tell the full story about the cause of death. The death certificate itself specifically instructs the person filling it out to not include terminal events, the cardiac arrest, the respiratory arrest that occurs at the end. So for example, if you're in a scuba diving accident and you drown, but then your heart starts beating, the question becomes, what information are you going to include on that death certificate? Are you going to include the accidental death relating to the scuba diving? Are you going to include the drowning? Or are you going to include the cardiac arrest? This can be really important because often it is this document that is the first document that's presented to an insurance company. So for example, if there's an accidental death policy, meaning the policy only pays out when somebody accidentally dies, and there's a scuba accident, that would fall within the provision of the policy, but a heart attack wouldn't. So what's contained on that certificate of death is really important. And often there can be a dispute. We see this often in homicides or investigations relating to homicide. The information contained on that death certificate may indicate homicide, it may indicate suicide, or it may indicate accidental death. So having accurate information in that particular area can be really important. Another good example relates to suicide. Often it's unclear whether somebody died by accidental means or whether it was suicide. And there are many life insurance policies that have exclusions relating to suicide. So again, accurate information is critical. Number 39 on that form talks about the manner of death. So this is kind of like the conclusory statement. Was it an accident, suicide, homicide? And this helps paint a larger, more complete picture. But again, just like we started, 1 out of 3 of these death certificates contain inaccurate information. Thankfully, in Michigan, there is a process to correct a death certificate that has inaccurate information on it. And there's actually 2 different forms of applications to correct the death certificate itself. One is the application for an individual to do so, and the other is for a medical provider to do so. And this particular form is completed. It's pretty self-explanatory. One of the most common errors that we see on death certificates are name spellings, errors in how the name is referenced on the decedent. And imagine if you're a financial institution and somebody presents a death certificate and it has a nickname or a name that doesn't exactly match the financial institution's accounts, it could also cause a pause before the financial institution would be willing to give information or turn over the asset. So often they require you to use this form to complete to correct the death certificate. It's done through the state of Michigan, through the Vital Records Department, and there's a filing fee, and the application would then allow for the correction of the death certificate. So this form could be quite valuable. It's pretty easy to complete, pretty easy to fill out. At the Probate Pro, we help people through post-death scenarios. This includes probate, administration, trust administration, litigation. But we deal with these types of issues involving non-probate estate transfers like we've been describing in this particular video. If you've got questions relating to these types of issues, or if you have any general questions, we're always able and interested in helping out. Give us a call at 833-PROBATE or visit us at theprobatepro.com. Be well.